You're back for more of Loki here on BuzzChomp, and I'm reacting to episode 6. It was the season 1 finale, and whoa. I'm Dan Salem. We have a new reality for Loki. As all things are in Loki, this was inevitable. It had to happen. We are going to have a season 2, so the only way that could make any possible sense at all is if everything reset and we have a new reality. This is what went down. Even though it was a little anticlimactic, it was kind of amazing, and this was a badass season finale. How did we end up with a new reality? Well, Loki and Sylvie reached the end of time, the citadel, and he who remains is the uber supervillain that controls all of time. Now, more specifically, he who remains is the last of himself, the lesser of the evils. So this is a supervillain who is doing bad for a good reason, at least in his opinion. There was a multiversal war between all of the He Who Remains people. Some were worse than others. This one weaponized Goliath to destroy all the others, and then took control of the timeline with the TVA in order to prevent another multiversal war. Sylvie killed him. Sylvie sent our Loki away. He Who Remains died, but yet he was reborn, because of course he was, because now time fractals and the timeline splits, and so then He Who Remains no longer did what he did, but the timeline still splits, and then a different He Who Remains is going to do what he does, and it's going to be a more evil version. And so at the end, Loki's at the TVA. Nobody knows who he is because he's in a new reality. He Who Remains is in charge because this version of He Who Remains did not create the Timekeepers as a mask, but instead stood himself up as all-powerful leader, which means he's more evil. This He Who Remains has chosen to have time fractals and 6,300 versions of reality, because of course he did, right? So basically, we don't know what led up to this point in this reality, but we know what caused this reality, and now the people in this reality, i.e. Mobius and the Hunters, think that He Who Remains is in charge and causing it, and our Loki's there being like, what? I just did this, Sylvie just did this, we have no idea what's happening. It was a really, really cool way to reset the story, put Loki in a situation in which he knows everything, we the audience know everything, but everything around him, nobody knows a damn thing. There are two really big open questions as season 1 of Loki concludes. Where is Sylvie? Where is Ravona? Our two most powerful females in the entire universe have disappeared. This is pretty awesome because it really opens the door for possibilities in the second season. Loki is going to reconnect with Sylvie. We were told that this is the only version of Loki that was female, but that seems unlikely. He's probably going to meet a different Sylvie because time fractals and multi-realities and a multiversal war, which is probably going to come to fruition. Our Sylvie killed the last of He Who Remains, the literal He Who Remains. But now there are multiple versions of that person, or a new one who killed all the rest. We're not sure yet. She was stuck in the citadel, but He Who Remains would have returned to the citadel and likely banished her, or she would have escaped through time to avoid him killing her because he's a worse version of himself now. It's hard to talk about many versions of the same person, but He Who Remains did it really, really well when he said, I'm looking at two Lokis, and now you're making out and kissing. That was weird. They fought, they kissed, Loki and Sylvie, who are both Lokis. So it's like making out with yourself, or a bizarro version of your sister, but then they're not the same person at all, so it was kind of okay, and we knew it was going to happen. I'm looking at two versions of the same person in one reality. Sylvie is MIA. Ravona is also MIA. She encountered Mobius at the TVA and then stepped through a time door. We don't know where she's headed. I have a feeling she was going back to the point in which the multiversal war was taking place to ensure that a different version of He Who Remains would succeed. And I definitely think she went into the past to influence the recreation of the TVA. Because now Mobius appears in charge of the TVA. There are no timekeepers. He Who Remains is in charge. Our good version of He Who Remains was controlling the timelines to prevent multiversal war. This new version of He Who Remains is also controlling the timelines, but not necessarily trying to prevent multiversal war. I kind of think Ravona's going to come around and be on the good guy's side in season 2. Mobius feels like a pawn once again. Loki is once again in a reality in which nobody knows who he is. He's at the TVA and they have no idea. He's still dressed like a TVA agent. He hasn't changed his clothes the whole season. I know it was a plot device so that we could distinguish him from other Lokis. Yet I don't see our Loki wearing that damn suit. He doesn't feel like a suit guy. Why is he wearing the suit? Sylvie has a badass wardrobe. Our Loki has a skinny little weird tie. I mean, it helps him blend in now that he's in the new reality. I don't know how he's going to explain to new Mobius what happened to old Mobius and himself, because he who remains is once again in charge and they know it. This is the weird thing about time and supervillains in a multiversal war of time fractals. It really only makes sense as they explain it to us, because there is infinite number of possibilities for how it could transpire. I really, really loved the arc of Loki Season 1, and I'm excited for the possibilities of Season 2, because we have kind of hit a soft reset, yet there are people that know what went down, which is important. So there's a new reality with infinite possibilities. There's got to be some new cameos. There's got to be the same enemy, but a new enemy. Is Elias still a weapon? We don't know. Where's Sylvie? Where's Ravona? Mobius, what about him? There's other people that died or went to the void, but does the void even still exist? We have no idea. I'm Dan Salem. Subscribe to BuzzChomp for more of Loki and other great science fiction. And comment below what the hell happened in the season finale of Loki. Woo!